Okay, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Judge Tamika West. I am a Clayton County Magistrate Court Judge, sitting by designation for Superior Court. I will be presiding over the preliminary hearing calendar this morning. The first case we have on the case that's scheduled for a hearing is the State of Georgia versus Reginald Anthony Bell, warrant number 2022 WA 13899 for the charge of battery. And then a second charge of rape, warrant number 2022 WA 13900. The state will be represented by ADA Laura Almond, correct?
Yes, good morning, Judge.
Okay, and then the defendant, Mr. Bell, will be represented by Attorney Rhonda Hill. I assume the state is ready to call the first witness.
We are, Judge.
Okay, please proceed.
All right. Officer Thomas, I see you on the Zoom. Will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to give in this matter now pending before the court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Swear.
All right. You place your hand down. Can you hear me okay? I apologize, Judge. I'm a little under the weather today.
No problem. And then for the record, I do want to acknowledge that the defendant is present at Clayton County Jail, that being Reginald Anthony Bell. Is that correct, Attorney Hill? You recognize your client on the camera?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
And Officer Thomas, how are you currently employed?
With the Clayton County Police Department.
How long have you been employed in that capacity?
Around 5 years, ma'am.
Are you post-certified?
Correct.
And do you have arrest powers?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you employed in your official capacity as a Clayton County police officer back on September 6th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
And on that incident date, did you have the occasion to come into contact with this defendant, Mr. Reginald Bell?
I did.
And do you see him on the Zoom call?
I do.
We can identify what he's wearing.
Orange jumpsuit, white t-shirt underneath.
Okay. And what were the facts and circumstances that gave rise to your contact with Mr. Bell?
So I was dispatched to a call by the victim, Miss Cherie Martin. I made contact with her at the front of her apartment complex.
And is that complex located here in Clayton County?
It is.
All right. And when you met with the victim, Cherie Martin, what did she advise was the nature of her call?
So she advised me she was in her apartment with her front door. It was unlocked. She said the defendant, Mr. Bell, came in asking could he stay for a while. They have a previous history together of smoking drugs and occasionally having intercourse with each other. She allowed the defendant to stay. While they were in the living room, they did get into a verbal argument, which the defendant did slam the victim to the ground, place his hand over her mouth. She did obtain some injuries to her nose and her inner lip.
And did you observe those visible injuries when you made contact with her?
I did. They were fresh.
Okay. And were those injuries consistent with her statements of this defendant's actions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Continue.
All right. So after that, he told the victim to stand up and walked her to the bedroom. He attempted to have sex with her. The victim said multiple times she did not want to have sex. The defendant, he continued to pull down her pants and underwear to her ankles and bend her over the bed. And the victim said that he stuck his penis into her vagina and began to have intercourse with her.
Okay. And did she advise whether or not she wanted him to put his penis in her vagina?
She said multiple times she did not.
Okay. And that was prior to, correct?
Correct.
And did she say anything to him during the intercourse?
She kept making a statement to stop and that she did not want to have sex.
Okay. And was she subsequently transported to a medical center?
She was, to get a rape kit.
Okay. And have those results been submitted to the GBI?
That is correct.
Now, did you make contact with this defendant?
I did when I returned to the apartment to see if he was there.
And was he still on scene?
He was.
And what did he advise took place?
He advised that the victim did allow him to come into the apartment. He said that he has no idea how she obtained those injuries to her nose or lip. He said that they did go to the back bedroom together, and that when he did attempt to have sex with her, he heard her say multiple times she did not want to have sex and to stop. He said that due to their previous sex history, she usually plays hard to get, and he continued to have sex with her after hearing her say stop and that she did not want to have sex.
All right. Now, if I give just a second, Judge. I've got no further questions at this time for this witness, Judge.
Okay, attorney, hear your witness.
Thank you, Judge. Officer Thomas, are you the lead investigator on this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to review all the evidence on the case?
All of the evidence?
Yes, have you had an opportunity to review all the evidence pertaining
Yep.
to this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what time did Miss Martin make her report?
It had to be early, around 6, almost 7.
AM?
I believe so.
Did she come to the police department, to the precinct to make her report, or?
She called it over the phone that she needed the police.
What was her location when she made the call?
She was at the front of the apartment complex gate.
So where did you guys make contact with her at the gate?
That's where I made contact with her. Yes, ma'am.
And where did she say Mr. Bell was at the time?
She said she left him in the apartment after he was done having sex with her.
I mean, was he in there sleep or just hanging out?
When I knocked on the door, he said he was asleep.
But she was able to leave freely?
Correct. She said that after the sex, he gave her money to go buy drugs. And then when she left out the door, she got to the front of the gate and called the police.
Was Miss Martin coherent when you spoke with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did any part of her testimony appear to be inconsistent?
I had to question her a few times, but the story matches everything she said.
You said you had to question her a few times on the same issue?
Correct, on certain details, because she would be vague at some points, and I'd have to ask her what actually happened. But it was consistent.
Do you recall what she was vague on?
Like when I first made contact with her, she just said that defendant, he raped me, and I'd have to ask her like step by step of what led up to this. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Being vague.
So how long after you met with her did she receive medical attention?
I had another officer drop Mr. Bell off at the jail, so I'd like to say maybe an hour.
Okay. So did Miss Martin ever indicate that she and Mr. Bell lived together?
No. She said she would let him stay some nights because his apartment did get burnt down. I was able to confirm that because I was the officer that responded to his apartment fire on a previous date. So he wasn't living there. He had no property in the apartment. He had no clothes, nothing.
How were you able to affirm this? You looked around?
I did.
Did you ask Mr. Bell whether or not he lived there?
I did. He doesn't.
Was that his response?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you know if anybody else was present during this incident?
Nobody was present. The victim's roommate had left previously, and that's why the front door was unlocked because he didn't lock it.
The victim's roommate did not come back anytime during the incident or shortly after?
No, ma'am. Not while I was on scene or anything.
Okay, let me see. Do you have the results of the rape kit?
I submitted them. I haven't got any feedback from it yet.
Okay. Okay. Do you know, let's see. Do you know whether or not Miss Martin was under the influence of any drugs that day?
At the time, I did not. I could not tell.
It was her testimony that she and Mr. Bell did drugs together though?
Correct. But I did ask her if she did drugs. She said she hasn't done drugs in about 2 days. So I had to go off her word.
Do you know whether or not in her medical examination, whether or not they would test her for drugs?
Judge, I'm gonna object at this point, to relevance. This doesn't go towards any of the elements of the crime.
Attorney Hill, your response?
Just trying to see whether or not the testimony was coherent. I mean, if it was coherent, whether it was she was under the influence when she made these statements. It just kind of goes to the veracity of the victim.
Overruled.
Thank you. All right. So let's turn to the incident. Did Miss Martin claim that Mr. Bell made any verbal threats of violence?
Did he make any threats of violence?
Yes, verbal.
Not threats, but he had just performed violence by throwing her to the ground earlier. So,
but there were no verbal threats. Is that correct?
Not verbally.
What was the condition of, first of all, in what room did this occur in?
The back bedroom. There's only one bedroom within the apartment.
Not the alleged rape. What room did he slam her in?
Oh, the living room, which is right outside the bedroom.
What was the condition of the living room?
As in what, like clean?
I mean, did it seem a mess? Did it seem like a struggle had been ensued?
I couldn't tell. Just regular.
So it did not look out of place. It looked normal.
No.
Okay. Did Miss Martin articulate whether or not she attempted to resist Mr. Bell?
She did. She said while she was on the ground, she attempted to try to push him off by pushing his neck away, but his size, he overpowered her. I looked at his neck. I didn't see any marks.
Okay. All right. To your knowledge, do you know whether or not there were any other reports of violence between Mr. Bell and Ms. Martin?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Let's see. And how did Ms. Martin say that she obtained the scratch on her nose and the cut on her lip?
While she was on the ground, she said that the defendant used one of his hands and actually placed it over her mouth and nose. Said that the defendant did have nails, and that's what scratched her nose.
All right. Did Ms. Martin say that Mr. Bell used a condom?
No, no condom.
Were you able, did you reach, oh, you said no condom, so, okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. ADA Almond, do you have any redirect?
Yes, Judge, just very briefly. Officer Thomas, just for clarification purposes, the outcry that the victim made, was that immediately after the rape occurred?
Say it one more time.
The outcry, when the victim made the outcry, was that immediately after the rape occurred?
The outcry to stop?
No, the outcry to 911.
Oh, yes. Yes. As soon as she left the apartment, got to a safe place, she called the police.
Okay. No further questions, Judge.
Go ahead, Attorney Hill.
I do have follow-up. How long after the alleged rape how long ago before her call did she say that it happened, Officer Thomas?
Um,
What was the time duration, if you can speculate, or did she say?
from her apartment to the front gates, maybe a 2-minute walk.
So she, as soon as it was done, she walked straight out. She came immediately out and called the police.
Correct.
What time do you know what time Mr. Bell arrived at her residence that day?
I can't recall. She's saying he came that morning. Mr. Bell saying he had already been there. That she already let him in that previous night.
So he came that night or that morning?
She said he came in the morning. He said he was already there.
Okay.
He said he comes in and out.
Okay. No further questions.
Okay. At this time, ADA Alma, do you have any other witnesses?
I don't judge this argument.
Okay. Attorney Hill, do you have any witnesses?
No, Your Honor, I have no other witnesses.
Okay, it appears your client may have a question. Do you want to briefly go into a breakout room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So we're gonna put you in a breakout room with your attorney. So if you could go into breakout room number 1. And Ms. Hill, you should already have an invite. I can move you out and put you back in if you need another invite for breakout room 1.
I see it. Thank you, Judge.
Jill, if you accept breakout room number 1. Can you hear me, Deputy? Thank you. Officer Thomas, we've completed your testimony. So if you want to just, you could turn your camera off and put your device on mute. I'll determine if we still need any additional information from you.
Yes,
once
ma'am.
it returns. Thank you.
Judge West,
Yes,
thank you for that breakout room. We can continue.
okay. And do you have any witnesses?
No, we have no
Okay.
witnesses.
Okay, we're ready for closing. A.D. Almond,
Yes, Judge, we'll waive opening.
okay. Attorney Hill,
The defense submits on the testimony, Your Honor.
okay. Okay, with that said, we will bound the case over to Superior Court and we're ready for the next case on the calendar. And that'll be handled by ADA Sheriff Freeman, correct? Ms. Moot?
I can handle that as well, Judge.
Okay,
Yes, Judge. Attorney Alman will be handling the Moose case.
Thank you,
Okay.
Judge.
thank you. Now, Attorney Jackson, are you ready to proceed?
I am, Your Honor.
Yeah, before we begin, Officer Thomas has requested to be released. You are free to be released, Officer Thomas. We have concluded the case.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, if you were bringing for Danielle Moose for me, please. Thank you. Thank you. I'm officially calling for the record, the state of Georgia versus Danielle Moose, warrant number 2022 WA 13821 for the charge of false imprisonment. And then a second charge of battery, warrant number 2022 WA 13822. Ms. Moose, my name is Judge Tamika West. I'm a magistrate court judge sitting by designation for Superior Court. I will be presiding over your preliminary hearing today. Identify yourself for the record for me. Jeff, you can just briefly take it off me. Okay, yes.
My name is Danielle Chanel Moose, Your Honor.
Thank you. The state of Georgia will be represented by ADA Laura Almond, and the offender will be represented by attorney Mark B. Jackson. State, are you ready?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, please proceed.
Thank you, Judge. And Lieutenant St. John, will you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to give in this matter now pending before the court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You place your hand down and state your full name for the record.
First name Wilkin, last name St. Jean.
And how are you currently employed?
I'm currently employed with the Clayton County Sheriff Office.
And were you employed in that capacity back on September 3rd of 2022?
That's correct, ma'am.
Do you have arrest powers?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you post certified?
Yes, ma'am.
And on that date, did you have the occasion to come into contact with this defendant, Miss Danielle Moose?
Yes, I did.
And what was the nature of that contact?
I was advised on an incident that happened in the jail. When I came on shift that night, I responded first by talking to the victim. She was in the infirmary. I brought her to the intake area just to interview her to find out exactly what took place, what happened. She stated that she was physically assaulted by Ms. Moose while they were during pill call. She explained how during pill call, she was basically standing near her cell when Ms. Moose approached her in an aggressive manner. And she also stated that she attempted to try to walk away to avoid any type of conflict. And Ms. Moose confined her by preventing her from, walking around or anything like around her. At that time, she stated that Ms. Moose then swung on her, busting her under her lip. That's when she started bleeding and held her lips until she was able to get medical care.
Okay. Now, did this occur in the Clayton County Jail?
Yes, it happened in the females house unit 3. That's going to be section 4, I believe.
All right. And I know this is going to sound like a silly question, but is that located here in Clayton County?
That's correct, ma'am.
And do you see the defendant on the Zoom call today?
I did earlier. I'm only seeing you right now, but I did
Oh,
earlier.
okay. Okay.
Yes.
So were you able to observe any camera film of this incident?
Yeah, after I finished interviewing the victim, I did went to Central, reviewed those video surveillance, which showed the incident. It actually corresponded with what the victim stated when Ms. Smith approached her with, and there were several girls that also was in the video as well, but they did not interfere or intervene with the altercation. They basically was just bystanders, just wanted to watch what's going on.
Okay. And at any point, did you observe the victim acting in an aggressive manner towards the defendant?
No, it was more like her trying to avoid the situation.
Okay. And did you observe visible injury on the victim?
Yeah, she had a busted lip and where she had to get stitches.
Okay. And did the defendant have permission to put her hands on that victim?
No, she did not.
No further questions at this time, Judge.
Okay. Attorney Jackson, your witness.
Yes, good morning, Deputy. So you were not there during the incident. That is correct, right?
That is correct, sir.
And you were just simply observing what you saw in the video and also talking to the victim, Miss Preston, I believe, correct?
That's also correct.
Did you have an opportunity to interview any of the bystanders that were there besides Miss Preston? Did you talk to any of the other inmates that were there at the scene?
No, I did not, sir.
Are you aware, or did you talk to, can you tell me who the officer that was, the deputy that was there at the time on duty in that pod, in that particular area?
From what I recall, her name is correct. She's a correction officer, I think Mosley.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to speak to Miss Mosley?
From the previous time we had court, yes, I did spoke to her on the phone.
Okay. And during that time, were you ever made aware of an altercation between Miss Preston and Miss Mosley?
During what time? The time
During
of the incident?
this incident, I'm sorry, during this incident, were you aware of any altercation also between Miss Deputy Mosley or Correction Officer Mosley and Miss Preston?
No, sir, I was not aware.
Okay, did she discuss that at all with you?
She did discuss. She basically, when she was asked about the incident, she basically stated that she did not give any type of permission to place the victim back in her cell. That was the statement that she made.
Okay, based on that, was there any leading up to the altercation in the video or anything else? Did you notice any type of involvement between Miss Preston and Officer Mosley?
No, sir.
Okay. How many videos were there? And
it was just only one.
And were you able to look at the entire video?
From the time the pill call started to the time that the defendant approaches the victim and punched the victim, yes.
Did during that time, did you see Officer Mosley in the video at all?
I honestly don't recall. I might have not. The reason why is probably because the way the camera was angled.
Okay. Is there a reason? Were you the investigating officer on in this matter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you speak to Miss Moose at all?
I attempted to. I read her Miranda. She refused to speak to me.
Okay. And when you said that, I think you had mentioned that she was trying to get away from Miss Moose, or was she just, do you know if she was trying to walk towards where Miss Mosley was? Sorry, I keep on saying Miss Mosley or officer. I don't mean to disparage her. Security Officer Mosley.
Well, I can't make assumption to figure where she was trying to walk to. All I know is that at the time she was standing next to her cell when she was approached by the defendant in an aggressive manner, that's when she was trying to walk away from the situation.
Okay, and when you say walk away, we're in a fairly confined spot, correct? So where is she walking? Just trying to walk within that area?
She was trying to, I believe she took a right step trying to get around, but that's when the defendant blocked her. Then she went to the left, the defendant blocked her. She was just trying to get away from the situation to.
Right, and when she was, I'm sorry, go ahead, I apologize, go ahead.
You go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry. And so, Deputy, so when she was trying to block her, do you remember at all if Officer Mosley was in the scene in the video?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And did you, and you said that you had not interviewed anybody else, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. At any point in time, did Miss Preston, the victim, ever point or put her hands up in front of the defendant's face? As far as you can remember.
I don't remember seeing that in that video, sir. If I did, I would have put that on my report.
Okay. So at that point in time, you didn't see anything of any type of movement towards my client, is that correct?
I did not observe any aggressive movement from the victim to the defendant.
And I'm just going to, one other question, just to make sure on the video, was there only one camera angle from what you had, or there were multiple camera angles?
I only reviewed one.
And the one, and I guess I understand you reviewed one, but do you know if there are more than just the one?
I'm not sure, sir. I'll only review the best angle that was available to me.
I understand. I have no further at this time.
Okay. Do you have any redirect?
Not at this time, Judge.
Okay. Do you have any, I actually have one or two questions for the officer. Sir, now, Officer Mosley, is that a correctional officer at the jail?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Did she witness the incident between the defendant and alleged victim? To your knowledge?
To my knowledge, she was standing in front of the door of that housing unit. She did stated that the defendant did punch the victim. Okay,
is that in your report?
I was trying to get access to my report, but for some reason I'm unable to get online. So I'm just based on everything of my recollection as well as my WAA.
Okay.
Your Honor.
No further questions. Okay, I'm sorry, Attorney Jackson.
I do have one question. Do you know if the report was ever by Correctional Officer Mosley? Did she ever draft or write a report on this?
Not with me. I'm not sure if she did a statement with the jail. She might have.
Okay. You hadn't reviewed it though, if there was one?
Sir. No, sir, I have not reviewed it.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions, Attorney Jackson?
Not at this time.
Okay, ADA Alman, is there any follow-up?
Yes, Judge, just briefly. So, Lieutenant, you did, in fact, though, speak with Correctional Officer Mosley sometime between the incident date and today's hearing date. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And did she advise whether or not she gave permission to this defendant to help physically restrain the victim?
She stated she never gave the defendant any type of permission to restrain the victim.
Okay. No further questions, Judge.
Okay. Okay, any other witnesses for the state?
No further witnesses, Judge.
Okay, and then Attorney Jackson, I know you said you're a subpoena Crystal Moyer.
Moyer, Your Honor.
Okay, let me ask Ms. Thomas, did we confirm receipt of the subpoena for Moyer?
We have not, Your Honor. I'm actually currently on the other line with the jail now regarding that. They didn't have anything, so they're checking to see if it was anywhere else. I did do a chat in for Attorney Jackson, trying to get some ideas of when you sent it in
I
have
sent,
time.
okay, so I subpoenaed Ms. Moyer back prior to the previous court date, and then we had to get a continuance on that court date. I had provided it to, I believe I provided it to Ms. Baskin and to ADA Freeman.
Okay, but did you issue a new subpoena for the new hearing date?
I had
Attorney
not.
Jackson? Okay.
I considered that she was still under subpoena at that time, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Thomas, do we have a LE number for for inmate Moyer?
Yes, we do. And I also have the jail on the line. Are you needing her to be delivered?
Yes, because we're in the hearing. Is it possible that she can be delivered?
Okay. Yes, it is prelims. Okay, you're going to bring her up?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll be in brief recess until we can bring forth Ms. Moyer. And then at this time, since we're in brief recess, I'm gonna allow Mr. Adams, I'm gonna put you in breakout room 1 so you can speak with your client.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we can be efficient here. Thank you.
Your Honor, I appreciate your assistance in this. Thank you.
If you will accept the invite for breakout room 1, Mr. Jackson, I'm sorry, Mr. Adams.
And Your Honor, did you still need Ms. Moyer's LE number?
Yes, you can just give it to me for the record.
Okay, it's 1199056.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Attorney Adams, I just sent you the invite for breakout room 1. Deputy, if you could join breakout room 1, we're in brief recess. And if you would bring forward your client, Attorney Adams, you would state for me.
Sanders.
Okay, I've already accepted the invite, so you can go in. I sent you an invite for breakout room 1.
Okay. Not coming up yet. Doing the
Let me try to send it again. Have you in there? It says you haven't joined.
they haven't sent me a join thing yet.
You say you still don't have the invite?
No. I saw what you invited me, but they didn't have a join button to push. So
Okay, well, I'm gonna move you back to the main room and then I'll put you back in breakout room 1, okay?
okay, thank you.
Don't accept the invite before I accidentally sent you the invite. I'm gonna resend it to 1, okay?
Okay,
So you should go for 1 now.
all right. It says a movement 1. And that's it so far.
Okay, you gotta actually accept the invite though.
Not coming up.
Well, you have to accept the invite. Only thing I can do is send you the invite for the breakout room.
Okay, and how do I accept it?
You just click on it. When it says, do you want to go? As soon as it flashes, you should click on it.
No, I haven't received any invite either, Your Honor.